Welcome, everyone. Today is Lunar New Year. It marks the first new moon after the first full moon of the year, and it is a brand new lunar cycle. And to spice it up today, we also have an eclipse. Across the world, families are gathering. Everybody's cleaned their houses, gotten rid of their junk, debts have been settled, and the ancestors have been honored and intentions have been set for the coming year. And whether or not this is a tradition that you celebrate or not, we are stepping into a new energy today. And so the question is, are you stepping into it consciously, intentionally? And so today, my friend, we are going to talk about the Lunar New Year, the wisdom of cycles and how our life runs in cycles, and can't miss the energy of the fire horse year that we are entering today, because this is a shift that we all get to be a part of, and we get to also decide how to enter it energetically. Welcome.
Soul self-service, that's the way. Welcome to Soul Talk, shine today.
Welcome, my friends, and welcome to SOLtalk. I'm Dawn Johnston, and I'm so happy to be here with you today. This is a space where we walk the human experience with spiritual awareness and growth. And we are here to talk about all things spiritual, intuitive, and grounded at the same time, which isn't always easy. Today, we're talking about the Lunar New Year because it's Lunar New Year. And how can I just skip that day? Because it's a day I've been celebrating for, I don't know, probably 30 years at least. The Lunar New Year is basically, I kind of look at it as we've got the calendar New Year, and then that's based on more of the solar energy, and then the Lunar New Year, which is based more on the moon cycles. So it really starts off as the first new moon of the lunar calendar. And it starts to unfold a 15-day celebration. And at the end of that celebration is the full moon. And when we're talking about energy, we all connect in rhythms and cycles. And, we think about the new moon today being the new moon. We think about it being dark, right? There's not any light. That's the new moon. It's about stillness, and it's about quiet, and it's about calm. And then we're moving into that energy of the full moon. And the full moon is more about lighting up and illuminating and clarity and revelation. And so the holiday, the Lunar New Year, is really about intention and growth, recognizing that we are stepping into a completely new cycle. And to me, that's very exciting. I don't know about you. Let's hear it. What do you think? Those of you that are joining me live, welcome. And those of you that are watching the replay, I'm so happy to have you here. And comment below, do you celebrate the Lunar New Year? Is this something maybe it's brand new and you've never even heard of it? Or maybe you've heard of it, but you haven't really done anything with it. I'm going to give you some education around it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to bring some new energy in and see what kind of energy you want to create, what you want to bring to you. What do you want to manifest in the energy of this new year? And not only is it the Lunar New Year today, it's also an eclipse. We also are entering the 1 vibration numerologically. So we just cleared out the year of the snake, and we cleared out the end cycle of a 9-year. And now we're stepping in. So it's like new, fresh, and lots of energy. So the Lunar New Year has been celebrated for thousands of years in the East. All Asian cultures, Vietnam, Korea, China, and it really it started from, it's rooted in agricultural. It's rooted in cycles. It's very important on the Lunar New Year to connect with your ancestry, to have mm, I don't know, a reverence for them, an appreciation for them, to connect with your family. And it also marks the end of winter and the preparation time for spring and for the planting of the new seeds for the crops. Uh, it represented survival and renewal and connection and community and hope. And so when we talk about the Lunar New Year or the Chinese New Year, we would also need to create some awareness around the zodiac, because the Chinese zodiac rotates through 12 different animals. And each one of the animals carries uh, particular qualities and particular themes, very similar to our Western astrology, where different houses and different signs carry different themes. So we have the zodiac and we have the 12 animals. And then we also are paired with a different element. So there's 5 elements. There's the wood element, the fire, the earth, the metal, and the water. And these are basically like the energetic imprint that kind of deepens the energy of the zodiac. And so everyone, they move in through 12-year cycles. So the animals move through 12-year cycles, and then they just start again. But each 12-year cycle has a connection to one of the elements. So this year, we are entering today, we enter the year of the fire horse. So we're going to dive in. We're going to share a little bit about the fire horse energy so you can step into it and know what kind of energy it's bringing. But I want to start with helping you understand some of the traditions around Lunar New Year. I love the traditions around Lunar New Year. It makes it so I don't know, sacred. And because I think that we do, as human beings, we function in cycles and patterns. These traditions are really powerful, and they're also intentional. And I think that they help us to know that we can kind of close out a cycle and restart, renew, refresh. I think it helps our nervous system know that there's an ending and a beginning. Like we can start over. I also think it tells the body, like, okay, this is done. We're complete with this, and we're stepping into something new. Something new is beginning, and you get to decide what that is, which is really exciting. So there's many, I could go on for a long time around traditions around Lunar New Year. And I'm curious especially if you're watching live, or if you're watching the recording, throw this in the comments. What traditions do you have? Now, maybe you've always just done the regular traditional New Year with a Gregorian calendar, January 1st. And that is the calendar New Year. So we celebrate that, and some people do resolutions and things like that, and they party and have fun, and then they start the year. The Lunar New Year is much more energetic. To me, it's very symbolic. And the time between the Gregorian calendar flip, January 1st, and the Lunar New Year can be anywhere from a couple weeks to about 7 weeks, depending on when that new moon happens to be. So let's talk about some of the traditions for the Lunar New Year. The first one is that it's really great for you for today. So if you're watching right now, you don't clean your house on New Year's Day. Homes are cleaned really thoroughly before the Lunar New Year. So that old energy is cleared out, it's released, it's let go of. You throw away the broken stuff. You get rid of the things that you don't love. You clear out the clutter. And so then on New Year's Day, you allow the energy of the vibration and energy of the new year to come in. So they really strongly believe don't clean on New Year's Day, don't sweep, don't dust, don't vacuum on New Year's Day. And the reason that is so that you don't sweep or brush your good fortune away, because they believe that New Year's Day is a very fortunate, prosperous day. It's a cycle, it's a rhythm. And so they look at it as, before you start something new, clear out the old, complete it, finish it, wrap it up, be done, to step into that new energy so that you are centered and settled as you enter the new frequency. So in life, that could look like, finishing up projects that you have not done for whatever the reason is. Maybe it's having conversations that you need to complete. Maybe it's doing some forgiveness work or releasing some resentment. Maybe it's just closing some emotional ideas or beliefs that are keeping you stuck or holding you in patterns or loops that you're done with. Like, just, I'm done. I'm done doing this. And then stepping forward into new energy, into new creation, and really gaining and getting some clarity on what do you want? And what do you want to experience in this energy of this coming year? So that's the first thing. The other thing that's super popular, and it's one of my faves, is red envelopes. So this is, if you're watching, this is a red envelope, and it symbolizes energy and vitality and protection. And this one specifically has a horse on it for the year of the horse. But traditionally, the red envelopes used to just be little tiny envelopes that you would put in money. And money is gifted in the red envelopes to circulate energy, to circulate prosperity. It is believed that prosperity is movement, and that energy and money stagnate when they aren't able to be moved or circulated. They can't expand. And so when you're looking at red envelopes, the tradition around red envelopes is that family members would put money in a red envelope, along oftentimes with maybe an affirmation, a wish, a vision, a dream for whoever they're giving them to. Now, traditionally, they would give red envelopes to children and to the elderly. And now it's a little bit different, I think, because the Western culture has stepped into this, that now a lot of people give red envelopes to not just children and the elderly, but they will give red envelopes to, like, if they're paying somebody, especially in the time frame of the Lunar New Year, that 15-day celebration. You might put the money you're going to pay your housekeeper in a red envelope, or your kid's allowance in a red envelope. Something like that. So it was time for celebration and gifts. One of the other traditions on Lunar New Year is to wear red. As you can see, red and gold actually came in handy because I had my gold jewelry on. But red and gold represent energy and prosperity and power and strength. And so a lot of people, myself included, often wear a lot of black. They really suggest not wearing black or white. They look at that as kind of uh, dull colors. Actually, can consider it even the ends, like death, not because death is coming, but the end of energy. And they don't like the end of on the first day of the new year. Sounds, firecrackers, fireworks, things like this. They believe that is going to scare the negativity away, release the negativity, scare it away, scare any negative influences or spirits. And basically, symbolically, what that's representing is interrupting patterns. It's kind of disrupting the energy. So even when we do, like if I do a house clearing, sometimes if I do a house clearing, I'll be guided to use a bell or use a bowl, a brass bowl or a crystal bowl, um, or even a drum to break up the energy, to interrupt the patterns that have been consistent. Sometimes that, um, sometimes we, when we're growing and when we're expanding, we need a little disruption. We need to shift our focus and our direction. And so the firecrackers, fireworks represent that. The other thing for Lunar New Year that is really important is family. So family reunion, people will travel. It's one of the they call it actually, I think, a migration. That literally in Asia, people, everyone goes home and they go home to celebrate the Lunar New Year because it centers around the reunion of family and the honoring of the ancestors who have passed. They will often have some kind of an altar for them because that is reinforcing that connection of the cycle of continuity. You know, the acknowledgement of those that have been before and that have come and gone. The cycle is connected to uh, all of the generations before, and a reminder that you are a part of something that is continuous, that is ongoing. And so that renewal um, energy is kind of the strengthening of the whole cycle, the whole family. Um, and oftentimes they will do offerings at the altar. So they might have incense, fruit, maybe some tea, maybe a favorite kind of a food or meal that they will offer to the ancestors. So those are some of the traditions. Now, one of my favorite ones is rolling oranges. Rolling oranges is a a tradition that is thought to. So the orange represents prosperity, and the tradition is to open your front door and you roll the orange from the outside. If you're facing your house, like, you're going to open the door and then you're going to roll the orange over the threshold and into the house. So the entryway of your home to this year is very, very important in the um, the Chinese astrology, because what they want you to think about is that all of the new opportunities, all of the new possibilities that are coming to you are going to come through that front door. So the front door is symbolic of opening the door to all this goodness that's going to come in your life. And so the oranges, rolling the oranges, is representative of bringing that new energy in connection with energy and prosperity and longevity. So you can roll however many oranges. I can't ever find a complete number, and like always roll this many, but it seems like 3 is a great number, or 9 is a great number. So that, again, I'm not an expert in this. I'm just sharing the things that I love about the tradition, and that is one of my favorites. So roll those oranges, bring that energy in, that prosperity, that longevity, all the goodness into this new year. Okay, and then the last tradition is food. Of course, there always has to be food. So a couple of things that are considered uh, good foods for uh, the Lunar New Year is noodles of any kind. Those represent longevity. They always say don't cut your noodles because you don't want to cut your longevity. So, keep the noodles long. Pot stickers are representative of abundance, and so is oranges or tangerines or anything like that. And then, so pot stickers and noodles and fish. So fish is also represents prosperity. And as you can see, that's one of the big focuses for um, uh, Lunar New Year is prosperity and longevity, all that kind of energy. So those are some of the fun things that you can do today. Okay, you can celebrate those today. If you're sitting watching right now live, go grab your red. And if you are somebody who hasn't ever celebrated Lunar New Year, and let's say you're watching this, listening to this a couple of days late, then remember there's a 15-day celebration of this. So I would encourage you to step in, give it a shot, and enjoy. All right. Now let's dive into the fire horse energy, friends, because that's all. That's the focus. You're going to see lots of images, lots of memes, lots of things right now about the fire horse just kind of galloping in. And so there's some representation around the horse, and then, of course, around fire. And it's helpful to know what your Chinese astrology animal and your element is, what you were actually born under. But we're going to talk about the horse first. So the horse represents freedom. The horse represents movement and strength and independence and like an outgoingness and absolutely momentum, right? Like, I think that when we, even if you just think about the horse and the horse energy, that likely feels true. And the horse thrives with space. So it needs space. When we think about that, right? Have you ever seen the horses? They're like in little corrals and you're just like, oh, like it just makes my heart sad. Like, they just want to run, right? And they need direction. Okay. So that horse energy, it's going to thrive in space and direction. Now, let's throw some fire in there. Okay. What does the fire bring? Well, the fire brings passion. Absolutely. The fire brings intensity. The fire is going to bring, it's going to amp it up, like acceleration. It's going to accelerate things. The fire brings leadership. The fire brings power. It brings heat. It brings visibility. And when we start to think about the two of these together, we think about the fire horse. So we think about the horse energy and the fire energy, them coming together, it's going to increase, like the speed is going to increase, and the strength, the power, the boldness is going to increase. So this year is a year of forward motion. It is a year of movement. It is a year of action. And I would say intentional action. It's a year of courageous leadership and people stepping forward. It is absolutely a year to expand your visibility. Those of you that are people that are wanting to start businesses, grow businesses, build businesses, and have been kind of hiding in the background or been thinking about it or hiding behind a hobby, but you really know you're ready to kind of step out. If there was ever an energetic year to do that, this is the year right now. It's also a year of travel and movement. So if you have been thinking about traveling, if you've been somebody who's kind of held back a little bit, you may notice yourself feeling more and more called to travel, whether that's, internationally or whether it's domestically, but you'll likely feel that pull. And you'll probably just feel a pull for movement. Like you just like, okay, I don't want to be stuck anymore. I don't want to be settle in this anymore. Like I'm ready for something different. And then, of course, we can see this through AI is innovation. There is a lot of energy going towards innovation. Now, these are some of the positive things about the fire horse, and that's really exciting. And for some of you, probably like, oh, yeah, that feels great. And then others getting a little bit nervous. You're like, I'm not really sure. But here's the other side, because there's always polarity, and that is it will also really amplify or magnify your impatience, your impulsivity, and burnout if you are not grounded and centered and present and being healthy for yourself. If you're not taking good care of yourself, then that burnout could really affect you. Okay. Fire is going to activate what's already within you. So whatever you already have going on, it's just going to amplify it. If you are somebody who's got strong clarity and knowing, and you're ready to take steps, and you're like, okay, I'm I'm in, then your progress is going to multiply because you have that clarity. But if you are somebody that feels scattered or overwhelmed, then that is going to expand as well. So I want you to remember that this year, is that just whatever you already got going on, it's just going to expand and increase. And so this is going to be a year, and we've been seeing this, in the media and all the things happening in the world, is that there's so much going on. There's so much noise out here. Where's your energy? Where's your attention? Where's your focus? And this year is going to really support, and I think it's going to be necessary to focus on focus. Like, focus will be rewarded. Those that can be intentionally focused, because there'll be more and more noise. There'll be more and more um, energy, and you have to choose where you're going to invest your energy. You have to choose where you want to focus your energy. Consciously choose it. So this is going to be a year that's going to invite your courage and your strength. It's also a year of shifting your identity, and this has been the talk that I've been sharing so often in my private communities, is all about identity shifts. And so many people are feeling that. If you're feeling that, throw that in the comments. Like, the identity shifts, friends, are going to be, I think, so many people in a year. A lot happens in a year. But I think there'll be so many people that are going to experience an identity shift that will feel very different this year than next year at this time. So I think that's really exciting. I hope it's exciting for you. But we're supposed to grow and we're supposed to expand. And so what a gift. And that this fire horse year, it's bringing it in. All right, friends, let's just take a break real quick. I want to pause for a moment, because if this conversation about cycles and the fire horse energy is resonating, I want to share with you something that I think will be really valuable for you as well. I am hosting a free webinar next week, the 24th. And in that webinar, we're going to explore the spiritual and intuitive gifts that you already have, how to strengthen them, and how to strengthen them in a grounded and centered and present way. I think that this year, talking about this fire horse energy, it is going to be absolutely necessary for us to be as grounded as we possibly can. So we'll be talking about how to recognize your intuitive language, how to remove those blocks that get in your way, how to be mindful of the cycles of life that you're in, how to expand yourself without burning out. Because the fire horse year, it can be easy to burn out. We don't want to burn things down. We want to light things up. And really how to move through this fire horse year with clarity. So it's a free class. It'll be live. I'd love to have you come and join me. So we're going to put the link here just below where you can go and register. Again, it's free. And it is the schooloflight.biz. So just schooloflight.biz/webinar. You see it right there at the bottom of the screen. And I'd love to have you come and join me, and share it if you've got somebody that you think might want to join. All right, now let's continue, friends. So how do we enter this year? Since today is the beginning day. How do we enter this year like stable and strong and solid. There are 3 anchors for the fire horse year that I want to talk about. The first one is direction. I mentioned earlier, the horse needs a path. So the energy of the horse just needs a direction to go, and it will go, but it needs to know what that is. So my question for you is, do you know? It's going to need grounding. It's going to need a rhythm, a cycle that helps to stabilize the more active energy that is there. It needs clarity. And so you want to start thinking about how that's going to show up, right? What do you need to have more clarity in your life? What direction are you going to commit to this year? Um, what practices keep you centered and focused and steady? And do you do them consistently? And what's the identity? Who are you going to step into? Right? So we need the energy of direction, need the groundedness, and we need to have clarity on our identity. Those are the 3 areas I would say to be very mindful of in this coming year. Now, this year is going to be an action-packed year. And regardless of how that shows up, because it'll show up in lots of different ways, regardless of how it shows up, uh, I want you to remember something. And I think this is a really important thing to remember. I was having a conversation with um, a, a friend the other day, last weekend, I think it was, and he said, I'm taking all of this in because I know that it's gonna go by quickly. And it reminded me of a conversation of something that I really have been more and more aware of lately, um, in both the hard things and the good things and the challenging things and the exciting things. And that is, friends, that everything passes. And this too will pass, whatever that is. So when we think about an action-packed year, and yes, I think there are going to be a lot of changes happening. I think that when we think about the fire horse energy, it's going to help us burn down some things and structures that need to be burned down to allow more growth to happen and to allow a new foundation to be built. And believe it or not, we're all here for it. Like, we came here for it. We're not here on accident, friends. We are here on purpose. And not just are we here on purpose, but we're here for purpose. And so the thing that I'd like to remind you of is that everything in life passes if you allow it. Right? So we're cyclical beings, as females, we have cycles, generally a 28-day cycle. We have seasons to our lives, not only the seasons, winter, spring, summer, and fall, but we have seasons of our lives. We go through one season of our life and then we move into the next season. And a lot of us think, I'm not going to be in that season over there. And then eventually you're here and you're like, oh, I'm in midlife season now. Wow. I never thought I'd be there. Right? Or you're in the season of raising your kids, and then you're in the season of maybe being of letting your kids go and letting them go and create their own lives, and we're cyclical beings, and we're supposed to be. But with that, we are also oftentimes beings that try to hold on, and we hold on and we hold on and we hold on because we don't want to let go. We don't want change. It gets scary. It's hard. It's different. It's difficult. It's the unknown. And our seasons are meant to We're meant to move through them, and they are meant to pass. And winter becomes spring, and spring becomes summer, and summer becomes fall, and fall becomes winter. Always. It never changes. And there are days, and you will have seasons in your life, and you'll be in cycles of your life where you'll feel like it's never going to end. But the reality of it is, it will pass. It will. The discomfort, the pain, the hardship, the grief, the joy, the happiness, the celebration, the excitement, it all passes. It all passes. And I believe our job as human beings is to allow the energy to move through us, to come to us and move through us. And when we can allow the energy to move to us and through us, that's when it can pass easily. It's when we grab it and we hang on and we say, oh, I can't let this go. I don't want this to go anywhere. That's the problem. It's life is supposed to change. We are supposed to change. We're supposed to change. We're supposed to grow and expand and heal and gain wisdom and embody joy and happiness and the challenges. Like, that is what we're here for. That's life. And that's what we're here to grow into. And so, my friend, today I want to remind you, on this new year, this sacred Lunar New Year day, can you open yourself to allow the energy to move to you and through you, and not hold on in a form of control, but allow? Trust the process. Open your heart. Be present. Because everything, the good, the hard, the fun, the sad, the pain, the strength, the courage, the joy, it all passes. And this is why I believe it is so important to be present. Because when we are present, we soak up all of the stuff that we're experiencing, whatever it is. The hard stuff, we soak it up, and we feel it in the depths of our soul, and it passes. And the good stuff, and we soak it up. But if you're not present, you're having an experience, you're with your family today, but you're checking on your phone and you're distracted and you're paying attention to somebody else's life right here, instead of the life that's happening right here in front of you, you're missing it. And it will pass. The sacredness of the relationships that you have, if you're not present for them, they will pass. And there'll be a day where you won't be able to get them back. So take it in, soak it up, breathe it in, and be present for it all. Because all of it will pass. And it's meant to. It's meant to, friends. And I think that always reminds me to trust the process. Trust the process. I go on walks almost every day of my life, usually at least 20, 30 minutes. And almost every day, I find coins on the ground. And some of you that follow me on social media might see that there's times where I post, a picture of some coins, and I'll say something like, the universe, the wink from the universe today, or if you know, you know. And it's kind of like a little treasure hunt, except for I'm not searching for them, but I certainly do notice them. And what I always remember, and here's the one I found today on my walk, it was a quarter. And on all of the money, you can use whatever term you want, but it does say, in God we trust. In spirit we trust, in universe we trust, in creator we trust, in source we trust, in Buddha we trust. Like whatever your belief system doesn't matter to me. But these little reminders are trust the process. The universe has got your back. And you have an opportunity right now, this moment, to be present. And this is, I think, why I find so many of these, because I'm present. And when I'm present, I find reminders to trust the process. A little message from the spirit. Trust the process, Sonny. Stay present. Tune in. This too shall pass. Trust the process, friends. All right, my friends. So now it is time for one of my favorite parts of our Soul Talk podcast, and that is Heart to Heart with Sunny. So this is where we open up our space for real conversation. You can call in, you can post your question in the chat on any of the social media platforms. If you're watching me live right now, you can also email your question into me in advance to me anytime during the week. So if you have a question you want me to answer, then you can certainly do that as well. Because I really believe that growth happens when we get connected. And so if you're listening live, now you can join me live. You can come on live, or you can just post your question in the chat. And if you're listening later, take a breath and just reflect on this. All right. And reflect on the questions that show up, and maybe there'll be some guidance and some support for you as well.
I'm too hard with Sunday. Hear your voice is heard. Songs are conversations. Life in every word. Bring your questions, bring your truth. We're here to explore. Heart to heart with Sunday. Open up the door.
All right. Heart to Heart with Sunny. I always love Heart to Heart with Sunny. All right, guys. So here's a couple of questions that have come in. And certainly you have the opportunity to ask any other questions while we are answering these. So the first one is, I would like to manifest more energy in my everyday life. I've been in my rabbit hole for way too long. Oh, yeah. I bet some of you are feeling that, right? Can you use a sound bowl? Whole family, does that include our loved ones who have passed? I'm not sure I follow that question. So first off, let me answer the part. I'd like to manifest more energy in my everyday life. And I've been in a rabbit hole for way too long. So I'm going to give you some suggestions there. First thing I would say is take one step. Just one step every single day, and get consistent at that one thing. And then you can add something else to it. We call it habit stacking. So we start with a habit. So let's say if you want to have more energy in your everyday life and you've been kind of stuck down in the rabbit hole, then what we want to do is go, okay, what would bring more energy into my life? Now, everybody's different. So the answer is going to be different for each person. So you've got to decide what that is for you. I know that energy has never been something that's been a challenge for me. I've always had tons of energy, both physically, emotionally, mentally. Like I've always had a lot of energy. But I will tell you that one of the things that I did want to have more of myself was I wanted more physical energy and strength. And so one of the things that I said to myself, this was, well, actually Spirit told me, and then I listened and became in agreement with, I'll say, was, I think it was 9 years ago. And Spirit said, you need to start exercising every day. Move your body every day in some form. And I kind of had a little resistance to that because I was like, I don't really do that. That's not really me. And Spirit's like, you need to do this. Maybe it was 12 years ago now. But I did. I started moving my body for 30 minutes every day, almost every day, whether that was for a walk, whether that was a stretch. And then in the last couple of years, I've started lifting weights and things like that as well. And that started to bring more physical energy. And I think when you have more physical energy, then your mental energy changes too. Now, which comes first? Do you need to change your mind for your body to follow, or vice versa? I think whichever one is going to work for you is what you want to do. But taking one step, one thing. So that was 30 minutes every day. That was the one thing. Then that led to a variety of other things to start to create a different identity. Okay. So that's what I would encourage you to do. The answer is going to always be consistency, friends. Consistency in life. I want you to look at the things that you're consistent in life. Just take a minute. What are the things you're consistent in? So if you're consistent in working out, you're probably strong, probably healthier, right? If you're consistent in reading particular books, then you probably have more education in certain areas. If you're consistent in watching social media, then maybe you have more knowledge of pop culture. I don't know. But you can also be consistent in, like, maybe I'm always consistent in eating junk food, or I'm always consistent in gossiping, or I'm always consistent in making excuses. And whatever you are consistent in, if you look at your life and where you're at, you can probably follow it back and see how you got to the place you are, whether you find that to be a positive thing or a not so positive thing, right? So consistency is going to be the key to life. It is absolutely the key to life. So get consistent and take one step at a time. Okay. Um, the question, can you use a sound bowl? I think that was a question around clearing the space, or kind of breaking up the energy. And absolutely, you could use a sound bowl for that. Okay. I love the simple reminders during the day to trust the process. What would you say to people who are in the thick of things and cannot trust the process? This is a great question. And I want to say that I would say, what alternative do you have? Like, when you're in the thick of it, you can either not trust the process, which means you're going to be activated by fear consistently. You are going to be giving your power likely to other people, or to the unknown. And so, why not trust the process? Because being in the fear, being in the worry, being obsessed about not knowing what's going to happen next is probably not helping. So maybe we just do something different. There have been many times in my life where I would have been in the thick of it, as you say. And I'm not saying this is simple, so please hear this. It isn't simple. But I would say it is necessary, and it is needed, because when we get into a place of trust, we open ourselves up to other possibilities. Like, when I'm not trusting, I'm holding on and I'm trying to control and I'm trying to manipulate and make things happen the way I think they're supposed to happen. When I trust the process, is kind of like I let go and I go, all right, I know that spirit, universe, God is moving me or moving things around in a direction that is for my highest and greatest good, even if I don't see that right now, even if it doesn't feel like it. I trust that. Now, if you don't trust that, then it might not be possible for you to trust the process. But there are a lot of people that will say, I don't believe things happen for a reason. And they have a right to that. Everyone has a right to believe the way they want to believe and to experience life the way they want to. And actually, they also have the right to their own opinions, whether you like them or not. And I believe everything happens for a reason. And I've had a lot of things happen in my life that have been very difficult to accept. And I still believe things happen for a reason. For me to grow, to expand, for somebody else to grow, for expand, for me to learn how to be a witness, for me to learn how to trust, for me to let go of my idea of what I think is right and wrong, good and bad, to get out of the human judgment, to be more unconditionally loving, to tap into the energy of humanity that I believe that we all have within us, to see the light in others in times when maybe it looks super dark. Like, I think there's lots of reasons why things happen. And even in hard things, and I've had lots of hard things in my life. Um, I believe that everything's happening for a reason, and that often we can't see the reason. So then we don't think it's for reason or for purpose. And I just disagree. And that's okay. But I think when you're in the thick of things, that's the most important time to trust the process. I remember when my son was going through addiction, and there were, he had suicidal ideations. There was a time when we got a phone call that he was going to take his life, and um, that was the only thing I had, was to trust the process of his soul's journey, not of controlling what it was supposed to look like, not to think that it was going to be the way that I wanted it to be, not that he was even going to live. I couldn't control any of that. It was out of my control. Trusting the process, to said, I trust that he's on his soul's journey, and that whatever happens, I will do the best I can to walk through it, and then to help other people walk through similar circumstances. So to me, that's I don't have another option, because I know I'm not in control. I know I can't control my children. I know I can't control humanity. I know I can't control my neighbors next across the street, next door. I know I can't do that. I don't have that power. What I can control is my perception of the power I have within myself, and my connection to my spirit and to my soul's journey. And thank you for that question. That's a beautiful question. What would you suggest that would help me be more present? Great question. Presence is challenging, friends, especially in this day and age, because these things, these computers, whatever you're watching me on or listening to me right now, they are designed for distraction. They are designed to get your attention in different places over and over. And then we got the bells and the whistles and the buttons and the notifications and right. Um, so one of the ways to be present is to get quiet. And that will be super uncomfortable for those of you that are not used to it. But I would start with just being quiet for 3 minutes. And your head will pop out, and then you pull it back in. Pop out, and pull back in. That's one. Breath, paying attention to your breath. Not having to do even breath work. That's fantastic. Really great work. But I'm not even talking about that. I'm just talking about just noticing your breath. Just notice you're in and out. Just observing it. The other thing is actually being the observer, is like, okay, I'm just going to observe, and you're going to notice one of the things that you see, one of the things that you hear, one of the things that you feel, one of the thoughts that you're thinking. That pulls you into presence, right? A lot of times I'll put my hand on my heart. Hand on my heart pulls me into presence. I'm just, okay, right here, right now, son. That's exactly what I do. Right here, right now, son. And that physical touch to my heart helps me with presence, and it calls me into this moment here now. Because, friends, this is the only moment that is real. The past is over. You can't do anything about it. It's done. The future doesn't exist. You don't even know if you get to have it, right? I mean, bottom line, guys, that's not guaranteed. The future is not guaranteed. What you absolutely know without a doubt is this moment right now, right now, right now, right now, right now. This is the moment you have. This moment. And spirit, if you're wanting to connect more with spirit, spirit speaks in present moment. Spirit speaks in present moment. That is where your power is. Your power is in this present moment, right here. your power. And when you get into the energy of like trusting the process, then you know your power is being in this moment right now, not being worried about the future, not thinking about the past and what you shoulda, coulda, woulda done, but being right here, right now. And I'm not saying that's easy. I'm saying it goes against how we are being inundated with things to pull us out of it because fear works. Fear sells. The news media, social media, all the things. Fear sells. And I'm like, let's rebel. Let's create a rebellion against fear. And instead say, you know what? I'm not going to buy into that. I'm not going to buy into all this fear mongering. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stand in the power and the presence of who I am and know who I am and know where my power is. And I'm going to be very mindful of who I'm going to give my energy and attention to, my presence to, where I'm going to put my attention and energy and presence. I'm going to be very mindful because that is what I can control. You get to control what you consume, friends, what you watch, what you look at, what you see, what you listen to, what you hear, what you take in, the conversations you have, what you say. You are in charge of that. So if you don't like what's happening in front of you, you don't like something that you're watching on social media, instead of giving it your attention, your energy, your focus, and writing a nasty little comment to try to change them, redirect your energy. Move it a different place. That's where your power is. You have the ability. Take this life and make it what you want. And on today, the Lunar New Year, it is a day to set intentions for what do you want to create? Where do you want to go? What do you want to experience? And I'm certain that most of you are not in a place of wanting to experience more fear and more anger and more pain. And that doesn't mean that there aren't things that are scary and there aren't things to be angry about and there aren't things that hurt. What it means is you get to choose where to put your attention. Those things will happen. Those things will come anyways. Where do you want to show up? How do you want to show up? What do you want to teach the people around you as to how to show up in your highest and greatest self? And from my experience, it isn't in reaction to anything that's around you. It's into your power of your presence and where you choose to put your energy to create the ripple in life that you desire. The ripple that I would like to experience is I would like to be the change that I wish to see in this world. I would like to be loving and unconditionally loving and kind and generous and see the broader perspective and see from a higher perspective that says, you know what? I don't know each person's journey and I am not in control of every soul's journey, but what I am in control of is mine. And I choose every single day to shine my light. And I'm not going to let the storm take me. I'm going to shine my light. That's what I choose. And we each get to choose that in our present moments. Great question. Thank you. All right. I have one other question. I feel I need to watch some things to be aware. Is there a balance since I feel I can create the more love, that I can create more love and more unity? Um, as far as watching things, I think that depends on you. I think it depends on each person. But I do think that a lot of people feel like, well, I need to be aware of what's happening. I need to know what's going on in the world. And the suggestion that I would say is you watching the news doesn't mean you know what's going on in the world. It means that you know a manufactured perspective of what's going on in the world. It's one little sliver of a piece of what's happening in the world. And I would say that what's happening in the world is when my neighbor comes over the other day and sees my grandson, and she is of a different belief system than I am, different religion than I am, different way of seeing things than I do. She sees my grandson and she says, "Hey, wait a second, I have something that he would really love." And she goes and gets this little stuffed animal and brings it to him, and he gets so happy and excited. That's what's happening in the world. And I'm not saying the hard things aren't happening. Friends, please hear me. I am not saying hard things aren't happening. I'm not saying there aren't terrible terrible things that are happening. There are absolutely. And there are also amazing things that are happening. And when we look at media and social media, it makes a decision for us of what we should be aware of. And we forget that there is an amazing world that we are living in also. Where do you want to put your attention? How do you want to put your attention? So you get to choose that. And there's not a right or wrong. I would never tell you to do this or don't do this. What I'd say is be very mindful of where you put your energy and how you put your energy and what you invest your energy in. Find the harmony for yourself. Find what works for you. And if you start feeling angry all the time, if you start hating people, if you start looking at people and going, man, what's wrong with them? Then something isn't working for you. So then you need to do something different. That's a really great question. Thank you very much. All right, friends. Wow. Okay. My time flew by. Holy cow. That's what happens. I want to take a moment and thank you all for being here. If this episode supported you, if you got some value out of it, make sure you're following SOLtalk so you don't miss a Tuesday. If you're watching on YouTube, please comment in the comments on the video, and let me know how you're doing. What cycle are you stepping into this year? Please subscribe and please share and please follow. Do all the things and help us spread this message of awareness and grounded spirituality, because that's really why we're here. And also, please don't forget to register for the webinar, free webinar next week. If you want to learn how to expand your intuitive abilities and how to start integrating that into a life that can call you into more presence, then please go to schooloflight.biz/webinar. All right. And as we come to a close today, friends, I just really want to take a moment to say thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for caring. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being willing to live from a place of intentional awareness. I'm here every Tuesday, same time, same place. And as always, please remember, when we allow our divinity to guide our humanity, love becomes the thing that we live every single day. You're not alone. I love you. I thank you. And I'll see you next time.
Soul self-service, that's the way. Welcome to Soul Talk, shine today.